All right. Hey, man.
What's up?
What's going on?
Not much, I want to thank everybody for tuning in yet again, and I just want to say we got some great submissions for the compositing stuff.
Yes, we did.
We've got some stuff.
I'm impressed by what you guys put together with those 3 images so far. So we're going to have some great interest.
Tweets were coming in well into the late evening last night, and I'm very impressed with it. So like you said, we're going to be announcing that winner in the second hour here. So while we haven't, like you mentioned, we got a guest coming up in just a little bit talking about Muse, I believe, right?
No,
mobile.
Yeah.
Mobile stuff. So I'm going to dive right in and get started with some retouching. And after the little mobile presentation, when we get into the second hour, I'm going to do something with Fuse. Now, talked about using Fuse past couple days. I'm going to show you.
What is Fuse?
Fuse is the new 3D modeling application, kind of modeler, but it allows you to build 3D characters that you can actually bring into Photoshop and use Photoshop's 3D features to light the character and even position them in interesting ways. And that's what I'm going to show you, kind of a workflow of creating the character and then bringing it into Photoshop for the finishing touches.
Sweet. Okay, we got a couple comments here that are pretty interesting. So Echo Sith says you can go to his, or I could go to his, Twitch stream and see how he created his. So that'd be cool. I'll check that out a little bit later when I got time. So he streamed his creation of his composite, which is, you get brownie points for that. And I saw another comment here.
Did I take another simple shot from my hotel room? I did not. Not today.
Right.
I woke up a little late, so I had to get
I know, we're all like running late today. I had to miss breakfast all 9 yards. Just woke up late and had to hustle over here.
How would you approach recreating something? Wait. The Duracell bunnies. I'm not sure I'm following you.
I'm not following that one.
It's about
either.
to go away. Okay, that chat went
All right, but anyway, what are you going to do today?
Oh, okay. So I'm actually going to show you a few tips on retouching, and I'm going to preface this by saying when it gets to retouching, what I'm going to be talking about are some simple things like a little bit of skin smoothing and some makeup effects. This is actually a course I did some years ago where the scenario I kind of created the class was if you've done a photo shoot, or let's just say you've done a photo shoot with a model.
I've done a photo shoot with a model
and
before.
Let's say you're looking at
at least one.
You're cleaning up the images and you're looking at them and you realize that maybe the makeup isn't, some part of the makeup or something isn't quite what you wanted it to be, and you're thinking, well, now I've got to bring the model back in the reshoot, but you can't. Let's say that you're not able to.
Yeah.
So you either can't afford it or the model's traveled away or something like that. So there are techniques in Photoshop that allow you to create digital makeup effects that you can actually do this with. Now, the image I'm going to use here, now I also will say this is an extreme scenario. Now, I have a picture of a model here who's pretty much just a naked face. Really cute girl, but there's no makeup on her and all. Now, chances are, when you're doing a photo shoot, you're not going to shoot a subject like this. They're going to at least have some subtle makeup on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So this is
also, is that stock or is that yours?
This is an Adobe stock image, yes.
Okay, I was going to say, even I can criticize it because it's not his, but even the lighting's a little harsh on her forehead.
And that's one of the reasons I picked this image, because chances are you might get an image where you've got some shine or some hot spots, something like that, and just things you want to clean up. Now, again, this is an extreme case because her face really has no makeup on, and we're going to put a little bit of makeup on just to clean it up a little bit. But one of the first things we need to do, and I'm going to revert this back to its original. There was a few little things here. Okay. So the first thing is taking some small, subtle blemishes out. And then I'm going to do some skin smoothing. That's a big thing about it, is smoothing out the skin, taking the shine out and making it a little bit smoother. There's a lot of different techniques on that you can do. One of my biggest issues with it is oftentimes techniques take to make it look too plasticky. I'm sure we've all run into that. So we'll get into that in just a moment. But first, I'm going to go in here and take away a few of these little subtle blemishes on her face. So that I'm going to use the spot healing brush here in Photoshop. Now, when you do that, you're going to go up here in the options bar, and I'm just going to set the blend mode of this tool to lighten. And that's going to allow me to basically just kind of spot these little blemishes here and watch them just magically disappear. Now I'm actually going to turn off pen pressure. And when they're in that light and blend mode, it tends to maintain the texture around. And I'm just going to take care of that a little bit. And things like that. I'm not going to erase any moles or anything like that, because in my experience, I've had people come back at me and say.
Here's the thing
yes.
about moles or other aspects of a person's face is that you have to ask yourself or ask them, is that part of their identity?
Right.
If the mole is something that they've had all their life and it's part of their identity and it's who we see that person as, you absolutely don't remove it.
Yeah.
Unless they tell you they don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Always.
when in doubt, ask.
Yeah. Never assume.
Right.
That they want to have that removed. They specifically want that. And you might anger the client if you do it. If you assume
will
it,
anger the client.
You will anger the
if
client,
you
and
do
chances
it.
are you will not work with them again. So be sure that you are clear up front to them. They are clear what they want from you
Right.
and what the finished product is. So taking care of a few. Now there are some stray hairs here on the subject, so I'm just gonna brush those away a little bit. Nope, let's not do too much. There we go.
Yeah, so looks like LB Wizard's asking, should that fix be on a different layer? this is
Blemish removals,
this is something this is something that comes up on each time I do a retouch because when I'm compositing, layers galore.
Yeah.
When I'm retouching, one or two because I just don't ever really use a lot of layers when I'm retouching.
I do a lot of layers. I'm actually going to start using layers just a moment. For the blemish removal, I tend to do it directly on the original image because I just want to be.
I'm so glad to hear another person say that.
Because I just want to do that there and be done with it. But the rest of the effects, the skin smoothing and some of the makeup effects, I tend to do on each individual layer. I like to do as many things on their own layer as much as I can.
Hey, Nikolai 3D, what's up?
Nikolai, what's up?
Nikolai.
So there's some the blemish removal. Now, the skin smoothing. This was something that I always, like I was mentioning just before, I always get frustrated with because you always end up kind of getting a plasticky look on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need to get, as much as you want to smooth the skin, you want to still maintain some of that skin texture there.
It can't look like a Barbie doll.
Exactly.
It can't look plastic. And I in my early days, I'm guilty of it. We've all made that mistake. Hopefully you've learned now that there still needs to be pores, there still needs to be detail, there still needs to be skin.
Unless the point is for the person to look like a porcelain doll, then go ahead. But in most cases, chances are you're not going to be able to do that. So I came up with a technique, and actually is a really simple process. Actually, it was so cool. Scott Kelby actually ended up putting it in one of his retouching books.
Cool.
So it was actually a really fun technique. So what it is using the channels. Now I'm going to bring out my channels palette here. And it's going to toggle through and look through the individual channels here. And what I'm looking for is the channel that has the most smooth contrast, but still maintains a little good amount of skin detail. Now, green channel is obviously way too harsh. I can see that. Red, too dark, and still a little too much in the contrast. So the red channel, or blue channel, I'm sorry, but the red channel is perfect. So I'm going to make a duplicate of that red channel and just nudge up the contrast a little bit. Because what I'm looking at is this, it's like, notice, yes, it's in black and white, but the skin on her face looks really smooth, and yet we can still see some of the pores very subtle there. What we're going to use this as is a mask, basically a layer mask. So I'm just going to punch up a little detail with the levels here, and then we'll click OK. And I'm going to go ahead and load this channel as a selection. And then when you load a channel as a selection, it does it. It's what's called a luminance-based selection. So it's loading the brightness values of it. So if you hold down the Command key and click directly on that red copy, there you can see the active selection. Now back in the Layers panel, I'm going to go ahead and create a new blank layer and immediately apply that selection as a layer mask. Now that channel is masking this layer. Now we don't see anything because we haven't put anything on the layer yet. So now I'm going to reselect the layer and just going to get a very simple round brush. It's a regular round brush here. Let's get that. And I'm going to turn on transfer because I want to use pen pressure. Now, this is one of the times where I'm like, if you're absolutely serious about doing retouching and skin softening and subtle changes like this,
you have to have a tablet.
You need a tablet.
I don't care what brand, what make, what model, but get a tablet.
You are just not going to get the accuracy and smoothness of it with a mouse. It's impossible, and you definitely got to have it. So whether it's a tablet like this or a Cintiq, it all handles the pressure sensitivity on there. Or even, I imagine the iPad Pro with the pencil.
Yeah, I was showing Corey, I was using, I don't travel with the small tablet, a small Wacom anymore because I'm using my iPad Pro with the Apple Pencil wired to my Mac using an app called AstroPad. So my iPad Pro becomes my graphics tablet with a very precise Apple Pencil that's pressure sensitive.
So yeah, so pressure sensitivity, absolutely key in the world of retouching. So I've got that brush selected. I've got pen pressure set for both the opacity and flow. And what I'm going to do is just zoom in here a little bit. And when you're doing this technique, you got to have your finger on the option key because you're going to be doing some constant sampling because you don't want to sample one color on the face and use that all over the face because there are varying tones all over the face. And what I'm concentrating on is you can see the shine on our forehead and the cheeks and the nose here and like that and a little bit of the red and stuff like that. So we're going to kind of smooth that out. So I'm going to start up here on the forehead and just option click in the area. I'm not option clicking on the brightest shiny area. I want to do it right next to that area right there and get that more neutral skin tone. Make my brush a little bit bigger. And I'm just going to lightly start painting on the layer. And I'm very lightly starting to increase my pressure as I'm building this on here. And you can start to see that shine very slowly diminish. The thing about retouching is subtlety. If you don't, you want to build the effect. It's almost like in the sense of real makeup. When I don't wear makeup, but when women put makeup on, they build it.
You wear makeup on camera.
Yes, I am right now.
Yeah.
But it's a building. You build it up. They don't just take big gobs of it and go. Some do. So you see someone in public, you're like, "What'd you do?" Just the other day I saw it. I'm not gonna get into that.
Yeah.
Anyway. But again, the key is subtlety. You just want to build the effect very slowly. So I'm just lightly dabbing and just painting. I'm going to go down here to the cheek. Again, I'm going to sample the area right next to the bright shine right there and just slowly. And every now and then, I'll just go over here and turn the layer on and off and see what I get. So you see the difference there? It's subtle, but it's really diminishing that shine. The key is we're maintaining that texture. And why are we? How are we maintaining that texture? Because of the layer mask. It's only allowing this. So if I turn the layer mask off, and just start building the effect, eventually it's going to get to where, see how it's obvious. And you can see that, that change. The mask helps maintain the texture. And I'm just going to continue to do that around the cheeks here. And there. Let's go down here, the chin. So it's really helping diminish the shine. It's also some of these little red spots, it helps diminish those too. You don't want to get rid of them. The thing about cleaning up a model's face is not removing every, blemish. Flaws are a part of being human.
Absolutely.
So you want to maintain those, but you just want to dial down things that are a little too overbearing. So like the shine and stuff like that. And let's get a little bit of the nose right there. There we go. And somebody asked about the teeth earlier. I am going to get into taking care of the teeth. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Okay.
Yeah, it's funny. Whenever you start retouching, everyone starts piling on what they want to see first.
Right.
And it's like, it's coming. It's just not teeth. I don't usually start with teeth either.
There's a process. Yeah, I tend to start with skin and face. And, I just do that. And then is that because I have touch on it? I did have touch on it.
You did have touch on it.
Yes, the base, skin and face, and then you start to build everything on top of it. And then you get into the eyes and cleaning up the teeth and stuff like that. So,
someone's asking, what opacity are you at?
Opacity on?
I don't know. They're just saying, what opacity are you at?
I'm not at any opacity. My layer and brush are at 100%. I'm using pressure sensitivity. That's the key. So I'm getting subtle transfer. So if I turn the background layer off, you can see how very, very subtle what I just added is on that layer. So again, yeah, my pressure, my opacity is managed by how hard or how soft I press on the tablet. So, and again, I'm starting very light and just increasing my pressure very, very slowly as I go. But speaking of opacity, I think I am going to drop the layer just to about 90%, just a little bit. And let's just continue to do a little smoothing here. And again, I'm option clicking next to the areas I'm doing this. So you don't want to option click a color up in the forehead and then paint down here in the chin and everything like that. It'll probably be a almost negligible difference, but for anybody that's really scrutinizing it, they'll see it. So the trained eye, if you will notice it. So again, I can always come back to this layer, but look at the difference there. If I turn the layer on and off, that shine, we've really smoothed up the face now. So we're starting to get it looking pretty good. Now, I'm going to go ahead and make a new layer. And I'm going to set this to screen. And what I want to do now is actually bring some of those highlights back, but not like, it was a really harsh specular shine on her face. I more want it to be like a highlight, like it's makeup. So I'm going to option sample this area on the cheek, right under the eye, and just very subtly build a little bit of highlight right under her.
Is this Seremer is asking, Corey, can you use the channel mask when you use frequency separation?
I don't know. I haven't tried it yet. I'd have to try it. So
The other thing you have to realize is, just like everything else in Photoshop, there's at least a dozen ways to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
So people are always saying, well, what about this technique? Because usually they're asking that because that's their favorite technique and they want validation that it's okay.
Exactly.
Your technique, if it's working for you, is okay.
Yeah, it's not wrong. Yeah.
Right, it's not wrong.
If what you're doing is working, you're happy with it, and your
Right.
clients are happy with it, you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a lot of times, I learned a lot of retouching from Scott.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times he will do something I absolutely love and I implement it into my workflow. And then there are other things where what I'm doing currently I like better.
Yeah.
So I don't implement his technique into my workflow.
I mean, I've even had people come to me and say, well, it might be easier if you did this. I'm like, maybe, but I'm used to doing it this
right,
way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be easier if I do this,
Yeah.
but I like doing it this way. So if you like doing it the other way, do it the other way.
Now, even with 3D, I've had some people say, you could do this or that. I'm just like, yeah, you could.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it this way.
So here's a habit that we all need to break as Photoshop users. Stop telling people, did you know you could use? Because yes, we did.
Yeah.
But we chose to do it this way. If that way is working for you, awesome, do it that way.
Absolutely.
Now, if we ask, hey, does anyone know a way to do this? Then that's when you chime in and say,
yes, exactly.
hey, yeah, you can do it this way.
It's almost like correcting someone's grammar when they didn't ask you to.
Yeah, exactly. Or correcting someone's driving technique. It's
Yeah.
like, well, did you know if you decelerated 20 seconds before the stop sign, you wouldn't jerk the car?
It's like, no, I did not know that. Where have you been all this time? No. I've been doing it wrong all these. No. It's like, all right. So we're looking good. I did a little bit of, so we got the skin smoothing and did a little bit of a highlighting on here. And now I'm going to make a new layer. And I'm going to make this, put this in multiply mode. And you notice I'm not using a different brush. I'm still using the same round, soft edge brush with pressure sensitivity. I'm just doing different layers. So in multiply, now what I'm going to do is sample a little bit darker area here, and we're going to do some very subtle contouring here.
Backseat Photoshopper. All right, we got to make that trend. I love that. Who said
Backseat
that?
photo. I like that.
Backseat Photoshopper.
Very nice.
Renzi22. Awesome.
So I'm just painting some darker areas just to build up some contouring around her nose and in the cheeks here. We're going to add some blush and stuff in just a moment. Very subtle. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So again, when you get multiple layers and you want to constantly just check what your original looks like, if you option click on the eyeball of the base layer, it'll turn all the other layers off and you can just kind of quickly see. So we're looking really good. Now I can see now my skin smoothing layer might be a bit much, so instead of going back and redoing anything, it's on its own layer.
All right,
and that's
so someone's asking, how often are you supposed to sharpen the pencil? Oh, it's a joke. I read the joke. Oh my God. How often are you supposed to sharpen the pencil tool? I didn't read it first, so.
but fun.
Good.
But actually, there are erodible tip brushes in Photoshop.
Or there are tips for this too.
Yep.
So these need to be changed.
Mm-hmm.
So
The nibs.
back at your joke.
The nibs in there.
Yeah, the nibs, right? Which
Yeah.
I don't wear mine down. It's like most of my tablets still have the original nib. I guess I'm not pressing that hard.
You know what I've noticed? And just a little side note, on the newer tablets, I've noticed that the nibs wear down a little bit. I think it's
Someone said that, but mine. I noticed that was one of the complaints.
I thought it was just me because I was getting a little more aggressive with
Yeah.
my work, but no, it was actually wearing it down a little more. But I mean, it's not happening like every few days.
Yeah.
It's a long time. But the cool thing is they've got, and here's my little plug for Wacom. They've got different nibs for different, so you can have different feels. So if you want to feel like you're drawing on paper, or if you want a spring-loaded nib or something like that, so they've
Right.
got these different feels for different types of pens and everything like that. So they've got a lot of options there. Okay, where are we at?
Digital pencil sharpeners.
No, I love it. That's awesome. How are we on time?
We're good. He's not here yet, but if he walks in right about now, we'll let you.
Okay, so all right.
finish up.
So I'm just gonna kind of go, and if I get cut off because of the mobile presentation, I will finish this up.
Yeah, we'll finish up.
When I come back, and then we'll get into the fuse stuff and everything, and of course the contest. All right. So I'm just gonna jump. I'm gonna jump ahead here and do the eyes here a little bit.
So BK Duck is asking, is this live?
Was what live?
This.
This live right here? No, we actually recorded this 7 weeks ago.
We recorded it. Use time
Van-
travel to come look at your comment, and we're addressing you now.
Yeah,
So,
we're actually in Vancouver.
Thanks for being here.
Just
Thanks for
outside
watching the replay.
Vancouver in a log cabin in the mountains. And we've been isolated here for at least 7 days.
And don't feel bad because we mess with everyone that asked that question, so you're not the first.
Okay.
But all jokes aside, thanks for being here. Yes, we are alive.
Yes, we are. We are live. Thanks for joining us.
We're alive. In this moment, we are.
All right. We're here all week. Nobody said that in the beginning of the week.
I know.
Nobody made that joke.
No one made that
Thanks,
joke.
I'm here
We're
all week.
Thanks, I'm here all week. These are the jokes.
I expect that from Jason. What happened, Jason?
Best recording ever.
He's bringing it enough already, so that's okay. All right. I'm actually going to go back to my skin smoothing layer and just sample, and now, it might be the inclination of some people to go, like these wrinkles under the eyes, it might be the inclination to go and use like the patch tool or some, and erase those. I would not recommend that, unless they are so extreme and that the client wants them removed in that way. What I would do is just take the smoothing technique here and just kind of brush over them and tone them down. Don't get rid of them. Just make them a little less, or make them stand out a little bit less. So again, you want to keep as much as the original face as you can. I guess that's the real key here. You want to make it beautiful, but you want to maintain as much as because if by the time you're done, it looks like a completely different person, you've probably failed.
Well, Corey, did you know? Oh, I'm just kidding.
What?
I was going to say, did you know you could?
Did I?
Yeah. I'm kidding.
No, I didn't.
I'm
No,
kidding.
I know. All right.
I use a different technique. No.
You do?
I do. I use a different technique. No.
I'm just kidding. All right. All right, so I'm actually going to go ahead and create a new layer. Let's look at the eyes here. Let's put a little bit of makeup on the eyes. And let's put this in multiply. We're going to actually put a little bit of a darker color. And I'm going to get...
So someone's asking, good question, can you also do this skin correction in RAW? And yes, there's absolutely a RAW, whether it's camera raw filter, or Lightroom Develop module, there's all kinds of skin retouching techniques in camera raw as well.
Now, as far as the masking part of this, you can't do that.
Right, not the specific feature, but yeah, there are ways to do it in RAW. So that way it's completely non-destructive.
Right. So I'm on the new layer in multiply mode, and I've sampled actually, I want to get a little bit of more of a color in there. Kind of a purplish color, a little bit darker than that. There we go. And right above the eye there, I'm just going to put a little bit of eyeshadow here. Now, I'm no expert on makeup. I used to date a girl who was a makeup artist and picked up a few tips in there. So,
yeah, as a photographer, it's like I have no idea when makeup is wrong because I just don't know makeup. But when it's right, I look, oh, that looks great. But a makeup artist will say, oh, no, didn't do this, didn't do that, same way people critique Photoshop, I guess.
Right.
So, as a photographer, I rarely ever try to or critique the makeup because I don't know makeup. I just know, oh, yeah, everything looks even, looks good. I don't know, good or bad, but...
I'm not all that... Oh, I got two different colors here. I'm not all that great with picking the colors, but it's the technique. That's the key here. You can play around with the colors yourself, but again, I'm just, using pressure sensitivity and lightly building over the eye here. And let's kind of push it out here a little bit. And again...
Oh, that was a bad joke. Fear video, that was bad.
What is it?
No, I'm not even going to read it back, but it was bad.
Bad.
Dun-dun-dun.
Yeah, we need that sound effect.
Yeah. Good one for today.
So zoom out here. If I turn the layer on and off, you can see the difference we're going with there. So, and
what you just did is an important tip just in general when you're retouching. I've noticed that, and even someone said, oh, it looks like she's got a black eye. When you're zoomed in, you got to remember you're doing things in detail that most people won't see. You're making corrections, you're doing things, but you need to constantly zoom out to check the progress to see how it looks zoomed out or at 100% or actually fit in window would be a better description, because that's how people are actually going to see it printed and online. They're not going to usually have the ability to zoom in and check your work. So it's really about how it looks overall zoomed out. Now we zoom in to do a more precise job and to get rid of little things that maybe you wouldn't see zoomed out, but it just makes the overall portrait look better.
All right. I made the card a little bit darker. That was a little too much purple in there, so there we go. Now, the eye itself, I'm going to brighten that up a little bit. And I've seen techniques where you can use like the dodge tool or even make a layer and paint with white and everything like that. One of the things I tend to do first is use the sponge tool and desaturate. I'm going to have to set this to the flow to about 75. And I'm just going to paint in the white of the eye here and remove any of the subtle color or any subtle veins that might be visible in there. You can actually, you're not getting rid of them, but you're just getting rid of the color. So the white of the eye is standing out a little bit more. And I'm going to create another layer. And I want to brighten the eyes themselves. So I'm actually going to use the gradient tool for that. And let's go and get the foreground, the transparent gradient. Set my foreground to white, and I'm just going to do a little gradient. Oh, let's make it radial, not linear. Right over the eye there, and yet I'm going to add another one here. And then you're going to try, I typically go to overlay first, but that doesn't always work, so actually it works pretty well. And even if it seems intense, just drop that opacity just a little bit, and now we've punched out those eyes a little bit. Punched out the eyes. All right. So now you can see that eye detail's really coming out there. So now it's looking really nice. All right. Now I think I'm going to go back to eye shadow layer. There we go. Let's get those. And as you build other effects up, you'll see where you need to lessen or increase the amount of the effect on another layer, which I am doing right here. Just very. Was doing it with a light color. No, there we go. Okay.
Okay, good question here, and this is one that I'll try to answer, and I'll let Corey weigh in on it as well. But it's from Caprodica, and the question is, does Adobe CC have an automated save feature and the ability to access past versions? And yes and no. It depends on, because every application is different, so it just depends. And it also depends on where you're saving the file, because you asked about Adobe CC. So as you know, as a CC customer, you get a certain amount of file storage space in your Creative Cloud folder. So like, normally people get 20 gigabytes of space. So if I were to save a file in there and keep working on it and saving it and keep working on it and saving it, that folder is actually making, what do we call it? The Creative Cloud archives, versions. Paul, when you're saving it to the Creative Cloud folder and you keep making changes and you can go online and then pull back a previous version, what are we calling those? Revisions or archive versions?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's.
I don't remember the name.
Yeah,
Keeps it for 2 weeks, and then you can revert back to a previous version just by doing that with any file. So it doesn't have to be necessarily a Photoshop file. But as far as Photoshop's auto-save and versioning...
Autosave has saved me a number of times.
So Photoshop has an auto-save feature that will progressively save, as well as now it has background save. So like a lot of times when I do add a lot of layers, it takes a while to save like a 36 megapixel file with multiple layers.
Yeah.
And it will just be a progress bar at the bottom, and I can keep working on other stuff while it's saving in the background. So to answer that question, it depends, and yes, there are ways to do it.
But remember we were joking about the recovered file?
Yeah.
It's like if Photoshop crashes and you get auto recover, it reopens your files, it puts recovered in the title. And I never really actually changed that. So I have a whole bunch of files in my computer that have recovered in there. So as an indication of how many times it crashes.
Yeah, and that was actually one of the, if we were going to talk about a Throwback Thursday feature, that would be one that Photoshop along the way got auto recovery. So that if it does crash or your computer crashes or locks up or whatever, you don't lose all your work since the last save because it is saving in the background.
Yeah. Another somebody told me a really interesting trick. You have to really kind of have the forethought to do this. But if you're on the Mac OS and you do a time machine backup,
Yep.
then if it crashes, you can go back to before it crashed and save your and
Correct.
recover your stuff. So,
Yeah.
so some ways to do it. So actually,
Nikolai, yes, you're right. It never crashes.
no, Photoshop never crashes.
And
No, well, you know what I think
would
is funny.
say it
though?
is rare though. Like I can't remember the last time I had a Photoshop crash.
But you know what I think is funny about, and this brings me, every time it crashes, you get that message that says it unexpectedly quit. When does it ever expectedly quit?
Good point. I guess when you go up to file and hit quit, that was an expected quit.
It is expected quit.
Right.
You know, it's just like Photoshop has
Unexpectedly
unexpectedly
quit.
quit on you. It's just like, well, I bet it did.
Well,
Because I'm working. I did not
well,
expect it.
that was a quit you didn't expect. So that message is true. It
Yeah.
was an unexpected quit.
Yes, it wasn't anything. I guess it makes sense that way, but all right. One more thing I did on this layer is I created another new layer with multiply, and I actually increased the amount of blush on the side of her face here. You can see it. Do that, and again, talking about multiple layers. When you brush the effect on, if you tend to put too much pressure on it like that, you can undo it and redo it. But if you get the strokes just the way you want them, remember, it's on its own layer. You can dial back the opacity, or here's another tip, and I'm going to actually show you this on the smoothing layer. If I double click, there is the blend if feature, which is part of the blending options here in the layer style panel. Here you can go down and move these sliders to allow lighter or darker areas of the layer below, the base layer, to show through. Now you get a smoother transition if you split the sliders. So if I wanted to bring the lighter areas of the subject forward, then I could split this underlying layer highlight slider and just drag it forward, and it will allow the lighter areas to start to peer through. So just another way to blend, make a much more subtle blend with that layer. And again, like layer styles, that is non-destructive, and you can go back and modify that anytime you want. So I'm just going to go and click OK there. Okay. All right. Now, before we take a little break, I want to show you one more quick thing as part of my little makeup techniques here. Is we're going to add some eyelashes. And what I did was I made some eyelashes into brushes. And I have to find them now in my massive brush library here. Where are they? No, they are here somewhere. I just used it. It's like, at what point do you know you have too many brushes? You can never have too many brushes. What am I saying? All right, it's there. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Of course, when I need them is when they're not readily there and available. What is going on? I literally just used
Corey
it.
has a brush for everything.
I do. Brushes, if it's not obvious, are one of my most favorite things in Photoshop. But not at the moment, because I'm not finding the brush I want.
Are you spending hours cleaning them though?
See, now this is just getting frustrating. So. Did you see the one blonde joke on there a minute ago? Did you catch
Yeah,
that?
I did. That was the one I said was bad.
Oh, is that the one? Oh,
Yeah, that
okay.
was it.
All right, you know what? Oh, there it is. They're my previously used brushes. There. Okay.
That's another Throwback Thursday tip. Previously used brushes is a feature now in the brushes panel.
Yep. No, I actually kind of discovered it intuitively. I just kind of looked up there, and it's just like, oh, these are all my. That's the one I just used. So I had a series of eyelash brushes that I created, and I'm just going to go ahead and just dab this one. Now I did do it on a new layer. Let's create a new layer, and then I'm just going to size the brush down, get it roughly the size of her eye, and let's just put that there. Now, obviously, it's not the right size and configuration to her eye, so we're actually going to have to customize that, and we're going to do that with warp. So I'm just going to use the warp feature here and just position this so it's in the right place above her eye here. Give those lashes a little bit of a bend. Something like that. Okay, there we go. Let's kind of have it flare out a little bit more. This is catty lashes. There we go. Okay. So now I've got that. Need to smooth it in a little bit. Now I'm going to drop the layer opacity just a little bit. I want it to be fully intense there. And here's where the smudge tool. The smudge tool, another one of my favorite tools, another underrated tool. You actually do some really cool stuff with it. But I'm gonna
Show me, because that is one of those tools I rarely use.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Now this is just a very simple use of it, but I can later today I will show. Yeah, I have some cool
I'm
stuff.
open to being convinced to use it.
All right, so I'm just going to. I'm right on the edge of the lash here. I'm just kind of smearing it a little bit just to kind of help blend it with the eye, just along the base here and along this corner here, and there we go. And that's going to help that. Now, I'm also going to, now it's all flat color. I did make the transparency or the opacity a little bit less, but it's all still an even color. So I'm going to go and get.
Phone's off, Corey.
My phone is
Phone's
charming.
off.
I am violating
You're
the rule
violating
here.
the rule.
I'm
All right,
sorry.
we're taking a prize away from Corey.
Okay, I'm going to get a dodge tool. Highlight? Do I want to do highlights? No, I'm going to do shadows. Increase that exposure. There we go.
Hello, Weirdy Birdie Man. And that is his handle.
Really?
Bringing the smudge tool back to life. Now, on the other hand, while he's doing that, I absolutely love and use the sharpen tool all the time. And
Now,
we'll
see,
talk
I'm the
about-
opposite. I don't.
Yeah, well, have you checked it recently? Now that they've added the algorithm to not make it destroy your photo.
I have not, so that's probably why.
That's probably why.
I
'cause
probably.
the sharpen tool back in its day in the 90s and early thousands, it was not a great tool because it would just in a couple of strokes destroy your photo. Like you have
Yes.
to use it very sparingly. But they've added a new algorithm to it, a new, more modern algorithm where the sharpen tool is absolutely my go-to tool for things like eyes and jewelry, just making things sharper.
All right, you'll have to show me that because I haven't used it. in
All right, so
forever.
he's going to convince
So-
me to use a smudge tool. I'm going
Yeah,
to convince
so-
him to use a sharpen tool.
All right, that's with the challenge. The
challenge.
gauntlet has been thrown
Yes.
down. All right, on this eyelash layer, I have created a new layer and clipped it inside of the eyelash layer just by pressing Option Command G.
No soup for you.
And nice,
The chat is great today.
they're on fire.
Yes.
Okay, so on this eyelash, I'm just going to add a little bit of a subtle highlight right along this edge here. Let's make that brush a little bit smaller. There we go. That helps it not look so like a flat color and like that. So now, for the other eye, I'm just going to go ahead and make a duplicate of this one.
Dude, you made an eyelash. Do you have an eyelash brush? I missed it.
Oh, you didn't see me have that? Yeah, it's a brush.
It was a brush. Okay,
Yeah.
figured. Cool.
So, with the duplicate here, I'm getting all my layers rearranged here. Let's get this. There we go. Clipping things in all the wrong layer. Okay, here we go. Let's get that. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to take this one over here, and we'll just flip it horizontally. There we go. Obviously, this eye is going to be probably a little different, so we'll just, again, use the warp and just kind of help. Now, I'm using I could have done a new brush and everything like that, but since I've already smudged this one and everything like that, I think
All right, that's something I hadn't thought of doing.
What?
Using the warp to make it fit better.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll use liquefy, but warp
I'm-
tends to give me, it allows
I'm
me to sculpt it.
learning.
Yep. So, so we have some eyelashes there, and I think that looks pretty good. And before we take, are we ready?
No, keep going. He's there.
Oh, not here. How are we doing in the chat? Any questions that need to address? Well, just comments.
Nope, nothing outstanding yet. If so, I'll ask you.
All right. So, let's go to the teeth. Let's take care of the teeth here. Teeth, like the eyes, I'm not going to use a tool to brighten them, but rather just lessen, because I find it's easier to kind of subtly take away something than add to it.
Right, and the same thing goes for eyes, because when you think, brighten teeth, lighten the color, change, lighten the yellowing or whatever, or lighten the eyes, teeth are not 100% white, and nor are eyes. So what you're really doing is you're restoring to a more natural look, but not 100% white in either case.
Yeah. I think we all agree.
Eyes are all over the map. They're gray, they're beige. It depends on the light that was shining on them.
You ever seen somebody in reality with really super white teeth? It looks bizarre.
It does.
It really does. I mean, everybody says, "Oh, they got pearly whites." This is like you don't really want.
No, you don't really want.
You don't
that.
really want pearly whites.
Yeah.
I mean, you want clean teeth, but you don't want, super pearly whites.
So there's a question: how did you make that brush, the eyelash brush?
How did I make that?
Or
was
that
a challenge.
one you downloaded, or did
Actually,
you
I
make
made
that
it.
one? You
No, I
made that
made it,
one.
yeah.
Of course you did, Corey. Of course you did.
Actually, no, what I did was actually went to the drugstore and found those, those eyelash kits you can get that women buy and actually put them. I did that and actually used those as references and then created them from those.
And now with Capture CC on your phone,
Yes, now that you can do
walk
that.
into your favorite drugstore and snap the photo, and that becomes a brush.
Take the lashes out of the case, put it on a piece of white typing paper, and then you can take a picture of it, turn that into a brush. And do it on a white background, so that way the brush is dark. It's going to make it much easier. You just clean it up a little bit, define it as a brush, you're good to go.
Did you actually buy the eyelashes?
Yes.
What did you do with them after?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think I threw them away. They served their purpose. I no longer needed them. No, I did not try them on just to see what they look like. No, absolutely not. I'm not going to say it didn't occur to me.
I
though.
bet they were cute.
Yeah. I know. I was like, you're looking at it, you're like, I wonder. No, I'm not doing that. It's like, because once you cross that line, there's no going back.
it's no going back.
Yeah. So, all right. So we're back on our layer here. No, actually, we're going to go back and select the original layer. So I'm going to go back and use what I used a moment ago, which is that sponge tool. And you want to set the mode to desaturate up here.
Going to CVS right now.
All right, pick me up a set too. No, I'm just kidding.
Going out tonight, Corey?
Yeah. All right, my last night in San Francisco, I gotta party it up.
Hey, why not?
So on the original base layer here, I've got the desaturate and the flow at 75%. Let's go again, still using pressure sensitivity, and it's going to paint on the teeth. Now, what this does, it almost gives the illusion that the teeth is getting brighter, but you're actually you're removing some of the color casting of it.
right,
The casting of the color, that subtle cast over it. But again, don't overdo it. If I overdo it a whole lot, the teeth are almost going to start to look a little dead. So again, like the makeup, build it up. Just very lightly dab on there. Now, if you do not have a tablet, should have said this earlier, if you do not have a tablet and do not plan to buy one, you can lower the opacity.
You should not be using Photoshop.
You should not be using Photoshop.
All right, okay,
Just
no. You can.
Get off the chat.
Right,
Go away.
Yeah,
No, I'm just
don't
kidding.
do it. Yeah.
No, what you can do is lower the opacity of your brush. If you're using a mouse, you can lower the opacity of the brush, and that will help. You can still build the effect, but do it at a very low setting. Like the skin softening, if I was using a mouse, I'd probably build the effect at around 20-25%, or have the brush opacity at about 20%, and then just steadily build it up. Very soft edge brush.
Right, I would even go maybe 20%,
Yeah,
even lower, because if you're using a mouse, you remember it is clicked on at 20% full blast.
Yeah.
So build it up in strokes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yes, you can do that, but I would definitely have, if you're serious about retouching and getting it right, definitely. All right. And no, I'm not paid by Wacom to say that. It's just a tool I swear by personally. So
That's why I say any tablet,
yeah,
I love
any
Wacom,
tablet,
but
yeah.
Any tablet.
That
is
offers.
better
That's why I
than-
mentioned the iPad. I mean,
Right.
because I hadn't used the pencil and the iPad until yesterday. You let me play with it a little bit, and I'm sold on it.
Yeah.
So I was a
So
little skeptical, but I'm like, oh,
Any
definitely.
tablet beats the most expensive mouse, is what I always
Yeah,
say.
absolutely. So again, I'm just subtly painting on the teeth here, and now again, like Terry mentioned earlier, when we're this close to the subject, it looks extreme. The changes look extreme, but you want that because you want to be able to see the changes you're making. But when we zoom out, the change is a lot more subtle. So you have to think about that.
And also, and since you did it on a layer, you can always turn it off, turn it on.
Precisely.
And if it was too extreme, because it is on a layer, you could always use the opacity of the layer to dial it down. So think of the opacity is like undo on a slider. You want to only undo part of it.
So what was it? SP Looper? I don't know how to say that. But anyway, the question is, what's the keyboard shortcut for reducing and enlarging the brush size? It's simply the bracket keys next to the letter P. You just left one decreases the size and the right one increases the size. You can add the shift key. Does it do it in larger increments of the shift key? I'm not sure.
I don't think so. But, and here's the problem, I used to say that all the time, that is the keyboard shortcut, until I found out that in certain countries, they don't have bracket keys. And then I'd have people, text me back or tweet me back and say, well, what's the key on that keyboard? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I don't have tilde, for example.
Right, okay, so Rufus says he doesn't have the tilde key. So if you, let's say that was the case. Let's say your keyboard, for whatever country you're in, doesn't have those keys. It doesn't have the bracket keys next, it doesn't have a letter P. It doesn't have a less than a letter P. You can still go in to the keyboard shortcuts and either A, under the edit menu keyboard shortcuts, you can either find what it is for your keyboard, or B, change it. Make the brush size whatever you want it to be. If you don't like the bracket keys even, change it to what you need it to be for your setup.
Now, there's another way of changing your brush size and even the softness. It's a really cool feature, and it's one I never use because I always tend to forget about it.
Really?
If you hold down Control Option, I'm not sure what the PC command is. I don't use a PC.
Control Alt. Oh, yeah, it would be still Control Alt.
Control Alt. And hold both those keys down, click, and if you drag up and down, it changes the softness of the brush. And it does this kind of like a quick mask overlay to show you the brush itself. So dragging up and down changes the softness or hardness. Dragging left to right changes the size.
And that was a Throwback Thursday, because that's been there a while.
Yeah. So that is a very handy feature. Again, Control Option, drag left to right, size, up and down.
Or PC Control Alt.
Yeah. So that's a handy little feature. Again, it's one of those things I'm like, that is brilliant. I just never use it. I never really think of it.
And again, I never remember it's even there.
Yeah. And that's one of those things where you could do it this way.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
I just never think to because I'm used to doing it the way I do it.
Absolutely.
So, but that is certainly one way of doing it. I'm really infringing on you guys Throwback Thursday, aren't I?
Yes.
I mean,
well, no, but this is good because that's when I forgot.
not intentionally, but it's
but
definitely.
That's when I forgot that I wouldn't have covered anyway.
Oh, okay.
So
There you
you're
go.
fitting right in.
Perfect. All right.
And
Okay.
So PC, it's Alt right click drag. So thanks for the clarification.
Yes, there you have it. Yes, I knew there was a click in there somewhere like that. All right. So looking pretty good. So and again, I'm just going to go back to my original layer. I'm just going to option click the original layer, and you can see how far we've come with what we've started with. Now, again, like I said, when I started this is an extreme example. Not many of you are going to start retouching with a completely naked face like that. Chances are there's going to be makeup. And the whole reason I made this class,
wow, that is a big difference.
when I made the original class for this is that scenario where there might not be enough makeup on the subject, or the little part of it you just want to enhance a little bit like that. And you want to be able to do that digitally without having to go and do a whole lot of reshooting and stuff like that. So that was the whole point of the session. But showing it from the this way up, and this also led to me doing, once I realized the foundation of doing the makeup, you can get more enhanced with it and almost do Hollywood style makeup. Like I did an image some years ago where I created turned a model into the Mad Hatter and did the white face and everything like that, and I used these very makeup techniques to do that. So that was a lot of fun. So big difference there. I think that looks pretty good. How are we on time? We good?
We are 2 minutes to the top of the hour where we're going to pick our winner for the compositing one. But we'll let you finish that one first, and then we'll pick our compositing.
All right, well, all I really got to do, I mean, I could spend some time just tweaking all these things, but I just want to touch on one.
We can do it now. We don't have to wait.
No, I'm going to touch on one more thing. That's why I was asking. So let's do one more thing, and that is the eyebrows here. They're a little scattered here. We want to kind of smooth those out. So what I'm going to do is just a really kind of quick and dirty thing, is make a path selection in the shape. Now, I'm not making the path shape in the shape of the eyebrows as they are. I'm making the shape what I want it to be. But I'm using the existing ones as a guide to get my basic shape in place here. So I'm just, again, click and drag to create the path around lash here, or the eyebrow.
All right, so Fear Video is asking, well, what if she, the client, doesn't like it? And I would say in all the years I've done retouching, rarely have I ever had someone just flat out not like it.
Well,
They might point something out like you might have missed or not done enough or did too much, and you go back and tweak that thing that they're pointing out. But I've never had someone say, oh, I just don't like this.
Well, like we said at the beginning too, if this particular model was a client, I would have a discussion with her before I get started as to what she's looking for, or even if it's for a client for an ad agency or something like that. You want to know what the client's end product's going to be.
Sure.
So I would go into this project. See, I'm just doing this for the sake of demonstration, not just kind of showing you some techniques. In a real world project, I would definitely consult the client and determine exactly what they want. So chances are, you want to go into it with some direction.
Right.
Exactly. And if they don't like it, then I'll tweak it. And that's why I keep things on layers. Because if they change something, they may not like one particular aspect of it. Like the color of the eyeshadow is the wrong color, it's too dark. I can go in there and adjust that specific layer. So that makes it a lot easier. So you want to set yourself up so you can fix it easy. You don't want to give yourself more work in a revision.
Correct.
So
So like I said, it's rare that I'll have someone literally just not like the entire retouch.
I rarely ever have. I mean, they're always subtle things. It's like, well, could you fix this or just,
Right.
adjust
And
it?
usually, more often than not, if they're asking for something, it's something you held back on. Like you didn't want to go too far, and they're like, no, take that off.
Yeah.
Get rid of this.
Yeah, always. Yeah, like I was mentioning earlier about moles and such like that. That may be very personal to someone,
Yeah.
and they may want to keep that. But if they didn't say it in the initial consultation, they may even say, "Don't take the moles out," and then they see the final product and they're like, "Well, actually, I changed my mind. Could you go ahead and take those out?" That
Right.
has happened to me before.
And I've
as
seen
well.
other retouchers do this where they don't remove it, but they de-emphasize it. Like
Precisely.
they lessen it, so it's not as pronounced, but it's still there.
Yeah.
Still see it. Still part of their still part of their makeup, their being, but
Yeah.
it's not as pronounced because you got to remember. And here's a thing I've learned about retouching and just photography in general. What I attempt to do is retouch a portrait to make the person look like they look, or look like we see them in person.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at someone in person, like I'm glancing at Corey, I'm not staring at Corey, studying every line, every crease, every detail, every little thing. But in a portrait, it's a person frozen in HD, frozen in time.
Yep.
So you are literally looking at every little thing on their face for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. And you're seeing things you would never see in person. You would never notice. So I try and make the portrait look like that version that we see in person, just subtle changes to things that we wouldn't pay attention to if they were standing in front of us because we're not staring at them. So that's my take on what to retouch, what not to retouch, and how far to go.
Yeah. I mean, another thing too, if you know a makeup artist, ask them how they would de-emphasize features on somebody's face in a practical setting in makeup. And then you can probably translate that into Photoshop. In fact, a lot of these makeup techniques I'm using in Photoshop were because I consulted an actual makeup artist.
All right, and Paul Weaver's got a good point. There's a claim these days that we over-edit photos, causing unreasonable expectations in models, et cetera. And yes, the fashion, beauty industry does overdo it. Most magazine covers, that person on that cover doesn't look anything like that in real
Well,
life.
you know
They've
what?
gone overboard.
Because they're trying to sell products.
Exactly.
And they want to make it as pretty as possible, regardless
So-
of what it does to the model itself.
Right. This gets back to what Corey says. Know your client. If your client is that magazine and they're wanting those unrealistic retouches and results, and that's what they're paying you for, that's what they're paying you for.
Yeah.
But if it's a personal client, or you're doing a business portrait, or you're doing even your own photography portfolio, then you're the client. You're talking directly to the client, or you are the client, and then you make the decision what's best for you or that person.
Yeah.
So again, it gets back to exactly what Corey said. Have that conversation with the customer of what, on a level of 1 to 10, where do you want this retouch to be? 10 being totally unrealistic, and 1 being like we didn't do anything.
Yeah. So yeah, never assume.
Yeah.
Go in there knowing, and even if you're in the middle of the project, you're like, I wonder if they wanted me to take this out. And I'm like, yeah, leave it alone.
Ask. Oh, yeah, or ask.
Or stop and ask, or just leave it alone. And if they bring it up, then you deal with it. That way, Because even if they're not offended by it, the mere assumption is it sometimes can offend people.
Right.
You know,
Oh, yeah. And number one rule in retouching, period. Never go to the person with the photo that you finished and say, here's your picture. And, oh, man, yeah, I took this off. I did that. I took all your wrinkles off. Don't tell them
It is not a
what
time.
you did. Don't let them watch. Don't let them look over your shoulder. Show them a picture. Ask questions, but don't let them watch the process. And don't brag about all the stuff you did to make them look better.
It's not a time to boast about your Photoshop
Right.
skills. So I did this, and I used this feature,
my
and I did that. And we're like,
liquefy, we made you skinnier, we did this, we took 10 pounds out. You know,
they do not
no.
care. They don't care. They just want to know that their product is what they are looking for.
Yeah,
So,
it's just like anything else. You want to look at a picture of yourself and say, yeah, that's me. You don't want to look at a picture of yourself and say, who's that?
yeah. I look like Frankenstein's
Right.
bride. It's like, what? No. But it looks cool, doesn't it? It's like, no.
No.
Do those things with your own projects.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Whatever
You're doing
is for
client
you,
work.
Yeah,
You know,
client work, no.
know what they want. All right. So back to my little eyebrow. I made the selection of the shape and everything like that. And what I'm going to do is, again, I'm on a new blank layer, and I'm going to set this to multiply like before because we're making it dark. And this is something else makeup artists do. They'll actually put darker makeup in there just to kind of fill in the lighter areas so it doesn't look all broken up, but rather it looks like one solid.
I gave you a 6-pack on your eyebrows.
But so my selection is active. However, it's a hard edge selection because I used the pen tool to create it. I want to soften that edge up a little bit. So to do that, I'm going to use Quick Mask. I'm actually going to press Q, and that's going to give me the Quick Mask overlay. So
And that is the ultimate Throwback Thursday, hitting the letter Q and going to Quick Mask because people do it accidentally.
Yeah.
And like, what's this? How did I get in this mode? How did I get out of this?
like, there's this orange fill
Right.
on my object. I don't know what it is. It's like, press Q. And they're
Right.
like, oh, okay.
Okay, that
It's
fixes
like-
it. Thanks. That is an ultimate Throwback Thursday.
But ultimately, the funny thing is, the marching ants selections in Photoshop are actually only there for your benefit as a visual aid. The Photoshop actually sees the selection as black, white, or gray pixels.
Right.
So it sees solid shapes, and that's what we're looking at here. We're looking at a solid shape right here. I'm going to go now. While you're in Quick Mask mode, you can go and apply things like filters to it. So I'm going to go and actually put a little bit of a blur on it. So we'll just put a Gaussian blur, not that much. Let's do about a 3 pixel, maybe a little bit less. Let's do a 2. So 2 pixel blur. Click OK. Now I'm going to press Q once again, and that brings me back to my active selection. So again, on that layer, I'm going to option click sample the darker color of the eyebrow, and again, pressure sensitivity, I'm just building that density of the eyebrow. Now again, this close looks drastic, but this is the editing phase, so don't worry. Now on the outside area, I'm actually going to inverse the selection. Go to select and go inverse, and we're going to go back to my skin smoothing layer, and I'm going to subtly brush away the areas around the edge. But I'm not getting rid of them, but rather I am lessening them. So if I deselect and bring this back out a little bit more, let's go and select that layer. Oop. Now, I'm the world's worst at naming layers. I will admit that. But in this case,
I wasn't gonna
it's
say
probably a
anything.
good idea.
I was going to bring
So now I
it
got to
up.
find my layer. So if I zoom out a little bit and I turn that layer on and off, you can see that that's filling in the area of the eyebrow quite nicely.
That is.
So we didn't do any drastic change. If you go in there and think, I've got to copy the hairs and fill them in there, you're going to find yourself extremely frustrated with that.
Right.
It doesn't need to be that difficult. In fact, I'll just go ahead and do the other side real quick so you can see it once again. Again, I'm going to use my pen tool. Somebody just said a minute ago there, they said the pen tool scares them or something like that. Pen tool is scary. It's one of those features that it's difficult to master, but I guarantee you, if you practice enough, it will be a critical tool in your selection arsenal. So I would highly recommend playing around with it, really getting used to it, do some really cool stuff with it. Once again, I'm going to...
Okay, good question. So Fear Video's asking, if the image is going to be in black and white, do you still work in color? And my answer for me would be yes, but
Yes.
what's yours?
I would, to a certain point, because when you get to the point where you're worrying about the color of the eyeshadow and stuff like that, then
Then you
obviously
don't
you're
care,
not
right,
worrying about it. But yeah, but I would at least the early phases, the skin smoothing, the blemish removal, other things like that, maybe even the contouring and stuff like that, I would do in color and then do in black and white. But again, I would still keep it layers.
Yep.
And then adjust after the fact there.
Yeah, so see, my technique would be do all the retouching, all the stuff he's doing right now in color. And then when I switch it to black and white, then I'm adjusting for how the black and white looks. So that's when I start caring about the contrast and things like that.
So for the most part, I'm pretty much done here. Again, I would probably go in here and just tweak what I've already done. But just to, again, give you an idea, this is what we started with. And this is what our result is. Yeah, again, very subtle. We've still maintained a tremendous amount of the skin texture and everything like that. And we've got a subject that's looking a lot better. Now, again, you're probably not starting from scratch with a naked face model, but this just gives you an idea of what you can do to enhance certain aspects of it, if there be it makeup or even just subtle blemish removal or skin smoothing. So,
Very good.
I like it. Thank you. All right.
Okay, so it is time to pick our Creativity 360 composite winner. If you missed this yesterday, Corey did a great impromptu session, improv session, where we put up 12 images. You guys voted on 3 images that you wanted him to put together, 3 random images out of the 12. We picked those 3 images. Corey did a great composite, and then we gave you guys the links to go download the previews of those images on Adobe Stock so you could put together your own composite. And then we gave you a hashtag, which was Creativity360 Composite, to tweet those images to. And we gave you till this morning. I even gave you more time. I gave you up until now to tweet your image. And now it's time for us to pick a winner. We're going to pick 1 or 2, because if we pick the same one, then it's the same person, or 2. And I'll give away a Creative Cloud to my winner, and Corey will give away training to his
I'm giving
winner.
away a month free full access to my training site, Photoshop Master Effects. Yeah.
So let me show you what you guys submitted.
And I have a few here that weren't tagged with
you
that.
know what? We'll let you go ahead and. Oh, you have some that weren't tagged.
Some that weren't tagged with that hashtag. But,
See, I don't have those.
But
'cause you
only
didn't follow the
only a
rule.
few. So
All right. So you know what? I've scrolled through the ones that use the hashtag. I've got my winner in mind, and I'm going to scroll to my winner at the top here. I'm going to put it at the top of the page. Actually, I'll click on it. That's my winner. Corey, you pick yours, and we'll see if we pick the same person.
in all honesty, I do believe we probably have the same winner.
He glanced over at mine.
No, I saw that one earlier, so I was thinking that very same thing. Yeah. This one right here.
All right. Same winner.
So, what is it? EchoSith Kyle?
EchoSith Kyle
You
did an amazing job.
Everybody did a great job.
Yeah, everybody did a great job. Yeah,
in fact, I just got to kind of
impressed with
scroll through
everything that you guys did.
and show what some people did here, and some people got really creative with this stuff. So there's EchoSith,
But there's EchoSith, and you know what? Just for the sake of fun.
is that my screen or your screen it's on?
Well, yours is up right now.
Oh, okay.
Mine is previewed. Hey, Ruth, can I give a second place winner too?
Why not?
Why not? Okay, I got permission from the boss to give
Yeah.
a second place as well.
All right, perfect.
Since we picked the same person, we'll give that person the Creative Cloud and Corey's training.
Mm-hmm.
I'm picking a second place winner for Creative Cloud as well, and you can switch to me now. This is a second place winner, and it is Panos Sokolos and the City's Watchdog. I like that composite too. So
Yeah.
both of those folks win a full year of Creative Cloud, and the first winner wins also the training that Corey's going to give you as well.
Precisely. Oh, and here's another one. Can you switch my screen back?
Yep, switch to the screen.
Wanted to show this out. Not sure how to say this name. But someone, when I did the snow animation the other day, someone posted on my Twitter their example of that, and they did a really good job with it.
Really
Actually
good
did a
job.
good
That is a good
looping
job.
cinematograph of this snow effect here. So
Inspired content, we love it.
yes,
it
absolutely.
just
So
you
there it is
guys-
right there. So
congratulations to both of these winners. And we'll be in touch with you how to get your Creative Cloud. Oh, the names again? So first place winner was Echo Sith Kyle. First place winner, Echo Sith Kyle, for just, we both agreed that was the best one. At least of the ones I saw. Corey saw more.
I'm going to give an honorable mention to this one here. I like what they did with the background in this one.
All right, switch over to Corey.
Yeah.
That is a great honorable mention. I didn't see that
So
one.
this was really, really clever, creative, what they did with the city image. They kind of broke it up and did this, but the background, I think, is a really cool result there. So Philip, where do these names come from? Sistacek. Great job with the background. You guys did, and everything else, and you all did a great job.
Right.
And thank you for participating and posting them. So I really enjoyed it, and hope to see some more stuff.
And second place runner-up for me was Panos Sakoulis. Rufus?
Sakulis,
Panos Sakoulis.
something like that. Yeah.
City Watchdog was the second place. So
Really
both of those win a full year of Creative Cloud.
Good stuff. Great job, guys. Awesome.
And what about the people in the chat? We have some great comments today. Do you think they should? Nah, we don't want to give anything else away today.
No.
Nah.
I will, but I will.
Because they're not hyping.
There is no hype.
There's no hype.
Yeah, and we need a hype
Like,
train.
There's no hype.
Where's the hype train?
If there were hype, we might give away another Creative Cloud just to the
Another,
people
you know.
in the chat. But
There just seems
they're
to be
just
no.
like, don't care.
They just don't want it.
They don't want it. Oh, wait.
Wait a minute.
Am I seeing hype? Am I hearing hype? Oh, wait. I hear the hype coming up on the screen.
There's some hypey.
There's no sound there, but
There's Hyperino. Hypey, hype,
But I
hype,
hear the
hypey. Hypey, hype boys.
hype. That's not enough hype. Like, they're not typing it fast enough.
Yeah,
Like, you gotta
please.
type faster and hit return. It's like, it's not hard. A blind man could see the hype. I saw
Hype.
that go by.
Hype, 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 hype.
Hype, hype. Hype time. Hype machine. Hyperactive.
Hyper dynamic.
It's hype
Woo.
time.
There's some serious hyping going on.
There's some serious hype going on.
Good job, guys. All right.
There's a hypo. Get it? Typo.
Hypo.
Hypo. There's a hypo. All right. There's sufficient hype. I am feeling worthy of the
Okay.
hype now to give you guys a Creative Cloud.
So people are alive out there now.
There are people that are live.
No, there's never enough hype.
There's never enough hype. Did we break the hype meter this time, Rufus?
We're still hyping.
Still hyping.
All right, it's ready, Terry.
All right, it's
to
ready.
announce?
Oh, we got a winner. We got a winner from our magical software that picks a winner from the hype machine. And here it comes.
And we broke the hype.
We broke the hype. All right.
Ah.
Millie B23, sound off if you're in the room. Millie B23, you got to be present to win. Got to say something right
Yep, there she
now.
is. Yep.
Oh, Millie B. Yep, I see you.
Hype
Millie
it is.
B23 hype, you're here. Congratulations. You also have won a full year of Adobe Creative Cloud, including all the software, digital versions of Corey and Jason and Paul that you can download into your machine, and we will do your work for you.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Hype machine.
Hype and
Congratulations, and it is Millie B23. All right. Well, it
All
looks
right,
like our guest is not here, so
So we just press on?
press on.
Press on. All right, we're gonna go. I'm gonna go ahead and get started with Fuse. How about that?
Fuse sounds fusible.
Fuse. All right. Now, for those of you that don't know what Fuse is, some of you might be saying, "Well, what is that?" Fuse is a new 3D application that was just released at the last Max, I believe. Was it demoed or anyway?
Yeah, it was demo. It was previewed at the last Max as a new app.
Yeah. So
So Fuse CC is part of Creative Cloud.
it's part of the Creative Cloud and does really good integration with Photoshop, which I'm going to show you a little bit later. But we're going to spend a good amount of time right here in the application itself, and you can build full characters in this interface, and then be able to bring them into Photoshop and use 3D and Photoshop to light them, apply animation algorithms so you can position them in different ways, and do a lot of interesting things like that. So we're going to get started right here in the Fuse interface, and right off the bat, you have a collection of different types of heads you can start with. And you've got male, female, and even alien, zombies. I mean, you can get really creative with a lot of different types of characters here, toon characters and such. But what we're going to do here, let's do a male. Yeah, let's do male scan 3, why not? So once you click on it, it's going to go ahead and load that head in the interface. And you can just click and move around. And it's very fluid, very responsive interface, so it's very quick to respond to that. So you can just move around and see all the detail of the face here. But before we get into the detail of facial expression and stuff like that, let's go ahead and finish creating the body. So I'm going to go ahead and add the male scan 3 torso. And let's go... You don't have to do the same, like, it's male scan 1 as a head. You don't have to use the same, version for each one. You can actually mix and match different types of body features and create an entirely new character. But for the sake of this, I'm just going to stick with all the same thing here. So there we can see our guy. Yes, he's entirely in that position the whole time until you bring it into Photoshop and do some posing stuff to it. So it's going to say like that. So now what I'm going to do, let's go over to clothing. And you'll see you've got all these different tabs that you can get very specific with these features of these 3D characters. You've got the tops, different types of scenarios there, different types of even professions. You've got firefighter and police officer and just casuals and things like that. So one of the things I highly recommend, if you've never used this and you really are interested in it, go in here and just play around. Try different outfits and different, body configurations and stuff like that, just to really get a good idea of what it can do. Now, in this case, I think I want to build, I actually did one a while back, I'm going to do it again. There's this one called torso, or these clothing called Tactical Response. And it's basically like a SWAT guy. We're just going to make a SWAT team guy here. So when I do that, it adds it on there. If you rotate it around, there he is. There's my SWAT. He looks a little bizarre. He has no pants on. So let's go put some pants on him. So we'll go to the next tab down. And it's really cool the way the interface is built. It's kind of designed with that workflow in mind. As you go down the line, you're adding the very next thing you would probably think of to add. So it's kind of well designed in that way. So in the bottoms or pants area here, we have, again, tactical response. So we're going to go ahead and add those there. And you can see he's got the full gear, flak jacket and the gun, all that stuff. I mean, it's all right there. Next thing is the shoes. Let's go and get, let's put some yellow firefighter boots on him. Why don't we? That just looks silly. So no, we're not going to do that. But I had to try. All right. And I don't want to use those boots.
I have Joe says, put your pants on, Beetlejuice.
I just told him, done.
No, they're there. Tactical boots, they're there. Okay. So now I've got that in place. So now what I want to do is, let's add hair. I was going to get into the detail of the face. So the next tab is hair. You got an, again, collection of different types of hair here. We're going to go ahead and, since this is a SWAT guy, chances are his hair is going to be short. Or you could do like medium dreadlocks. Look at that. There we go. You ever seen a SWAT guy look like that? He's hip to it. He's good. But we're not going to do that. Let's actually do alpha short hair. That'll be good. So, all right, there we go. And then you've got things like hats, headgear, and stuff like that. So in this case, we'll just go ahead and put a tactical response helmet on this guy. Look at that. There we go. Very nice. Eyewear. Could put some goggles on him, but I'm not going to because we're going to edit the eyes. We want to do some expressions in the face, so we're going to leave the face bare in this case. But you can add beards. Go down here and add some gloves to it. In fact, let's go ahead and do tactical fingerless gloves. There we go. Masks. You want to put a gas mask on him, surgical mask, whatever like that. But again, we want to see the face, so we're not going to do any of that. But you can if you wanted to. And then mustaches. Because, mustaches are in.
Mustaches are in.
But I'm not going to do that in this case. But they're there. So mustaches, beards, all that. So now our character is fully developed and fully dressed. Now we're going to go in here and modify the face. So I'm going to rotate that around. So if you hold down the control key and click and drag up, you can zoom in on the character, and then hold down command key, and then you can drag down, and we can bring the face a little bit more into view here, like that. Now, right over here above the character, you've got these different tabs for Assemble, Customize, Texture. We're going to go to the Customize feature here, and here's where it really gets into depth. You'll be surprised how much detail how many things you can modify on this character. If you just go down the list here and see, you start with arms. You've got the upper arm overall, and the cool thing is all these are on sliders. Now you can input numbers, of course, as well, but the fact they're on sliders makes it easier because it's a real-time change. So let's actually go down here to the face. And right under the face features, you've got expression. So you've got angry, awkward, cocky, confused. I like confused. But goofy, happy, worried, all these different ones. So if this is a tactical guy, he's probably going to be very focused and really like that. So we'll just add a little bit of anger to his face. And notice as I push the slider, how his face changes. And the degree of anger, if you want to call it that, is determined by how much you increase or decrease the amount of the slider. So I'm just actually going to go somewhere in the middle here. And maybe he's a little cocky too, because he's got a gun and all that stuff. So he's a little. So way over here, he's too cocky. So let's actually make him about there. Confused? Probably not. Is he happy about it? Maybe he is. Look at that. Yeah, look at it. Hey.
Hey.
Like that, huh?
Yeah, I like that.
And that's a cool thing too. They do have teeth. You can actually open the mouth. We'll get into that in just a minute. But look, you can cross the eyes if you wanted to. Want to make the character look silly. In this case, we don't need that. Mouth open. Here we go. So if he's shocked by something, you can go, ah. Of course, now he's eating his chin strap, so that's probably not a good idea.
Probably not a good idea.
But yeah, so you can actually crease that amount if you want to have him subtly show teeth and make him wall-eyed, which is pushing the eyes outward, So it's an incredible amount of control you have over even the most subtle features here. Let's go down and look at the head features. You've got the brows, up, down, if you want to do. So if we want to make him a little more angrier, we can bring those down a little bit. And cheeks. Now you can also, there are certain features you can actually put your cursor over those features and modify them that way, just by clicking and dragging. Similar to the way the Photoshop or 3D works in Photoshop, how you hover your mouse over an object and it highlights it, and you can modify that specific axis or that feature. Similar to that here, you can actually, when you see the little image appear, you can adjust that particular feature, or you can do it over here in the sliders too. Let's see here. Let's go down. So you've got chin, ears. Now, we don't see our guy's ears, and that's okay. But the ears are fun. You can actually go in there. You can make subtle changes to the ears. You can even make extreme changes. Like if you wanted to make a Vulcan, somebody with pointy ears, it'll totally do that. You can make, you can really exaggerate features and create alien-type creatures or cartoony-type creatures. So it isn't just keeping it within the realm of real. You can actually go to some really, really good extremes in there. So let's go down mouth. Let's look at the insane amount of features you have when it comes to just the mouth. You've got lip corners and lower lip. If you want the mouth really big, want to make it a wide. Even the philtrum. You can adjust. Why would you need to do that? But you can. You don't necessarily have to, but you can. And the neck, a little muscular. Let's bulk that out a little bit. There we go. Now, I'm making changes I probably don't necessarily need to, but I'm just for the sake of showing you how this works and how you're able to really kind of help put these together. And again, just move your character around. I think I want him to be a little angrier. So, I just...
Is Fuse compatible with other programs like ZBrush? Can you integrate a model from there into Fuse? Can Fuse import models, in other words?
Not that I'm aware of.
And I've never
I don't use ZBrush, so I could not answer that truthfully in a way. My most educated guess is no.
Oh, someone said you can indeed import models from any software. There you go.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Then yes, you can. Who's that on there? Who answered that?
We'll have to verify that, but they're saying yes.
Okay. Oh, I'm going to go back up to... Or was it the teeth? Let me find the teeth.
Is there a plugin for Fuse for animals or beasts?
I think it's just a human modeler at the moment. So.
Human models only at this point. Okay.
So, looking really good. Now I'm actually going to zoom out.
And Victoria confirmed that yes, you can import models.
Good. Okay. then yes, you can. So again, a lot of different features with editing the face. Now we have, let's go down to the legs. You can see what we've got here. Let's actually move that up. So you can now adjust the feet, knees. You want thicker. You can have skinny legs or really big, bulky legs and thigh. There's some features in here I'm like, why would I even bother editing that? You need to change that, but you never have too many. It's better to have too much than not enough. There's the teeth. So look at how many features there are for just the teeth alone. So I'm actually going to zoom back into my character here, and so some of these are quite hilarious. So you've got like make the canines long. You want to create a vampire effect. Let's do upper canines longer. We don't see it because it's, well, let's go and open his mouth here. Cool that you can finally say that. You're creating a character. You can say, can you open their mouth? That reminds me of a time. There was like, I did this little sidebar. I was doing a job on retouching a car, and the guy asked me, it was a photo of a car, not a 3D model. The guy asked me, he's like, can you open the door so we can see the inside of the car in Photoshop?
Yes, but it'll cost a lot more.
I'm like, yes, go to the car, open the door, take another picture.
Right.
And then you can do.
I would have told him. I'd have given him the quote. Yeah, it could be done.
It can be done.
It's going to cost a lot, though.
Yeah. So, what am I like? Oh, mouth open. Here we go. So I opened him out. See, I made his canines longer. So now he's a tactical vampire. So see his nice long.
Oh, I see.
So there's that. Yeah. So all right. So liking the character, that looks pretty good. Let's actually zoom back out here. So like I said, he's in this position until we bring him into Photoshop, and I think we're ready to go ahead and do that. Now, when you do that, you're up here in the top right corner. You see this. You got two buttons here. One is Save to Mixamo, which is the original model here, or you can save to CC libraries. This is what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to go ahead and click this, and it's going to ask me to name it. So we'll call this Tactical 1. And in my library of my Creative Cloud, I created a folder called Fuse Models. So I'm just going to go ahead and choose that and hit Save. And now it's going to export it out of Fuse and then send it to my Creative Cloud so that I can import it into Photoshop. So while it's doing that, and usually it takes just a minute or two, so let's just have a look at that. Any questions?
All right, and while we're pausing here, like when we did the composite contest, there's still some people saying, hey, mine wasn't showing, or Terry, you didn't show mine, or I had an animation or whatever. I'm only searching for the hashtag. So if you didn't use the right hashtag, that's why it's not showing up.
Yeah, I did show a few that didn't
right.
in my
so Corey
feed.
showed the ones that didn't use the hashtag because they included his name. So he showed those. However, there was even one person that said, I used the hashtag, mine didn't show up. And we discovered because his account had protected tweets, and therefore it won't show up in the search because they were protected. So we can't see what we can't see.
Yeah. If it ain't there, I can't see it.
Right. So we can go back and look at them again, but the winners have been chosen already. We can go back and certainly scroll through any that we missed, and because we know you guys put some work into it, and we definitely want to give you a shout out and show what you did.
All right. So my model has been exported. So now I'm in Photoshop. And I didn't close it. I actually just minimized Fuse right now, just in case I need to go back and make a change. Now, and that's another thing too. When you're ready to export your model out of Fuse and bring it over to Photoshop, if you wanted to make a change to your model, like adjusting a facial expression, now there's some things you can do in Photoshop. I'm going to show you in a minute. But if you need to go back and change any of that, you'd have to go back to Fuse, make those changes, and then resave it to your cloud library. So just be aware of that. So make sure that when you're finally bringing it into Photoshop, you pretty much got it the way you want it. Now, once you are in Photoshop, I'm going to go ahead and open up my Libraries panel. Let's go to Window and go to Libraries. And so right now it's showing all my stock images. So I'm going to go up to the menu here, and there's my Fuse models. And it hasn't shown up yet, so we'll just give it a second. But you can see I've gone ahead and done a few others here. But you know what? Instead of waiting, I'm just going to go and use the tactical guy I've created once before. So I'm just going to double click it. And it opens it up inside of Photoshop. Actually, I don't want it to click it. I'm actually going, oh no, there it is. It's showing up. There it is. So again, don't get upset if it doesn't show up right away. Just give it a minute. But there it is right there. It's the very latest one. So I'm just going to take it and drag it over to my document here. And there's my guy. So I'm going to go ahead and close libraries. And I am going to open up 3D. And the properties panel, just like we've been doing. And here's where it gets a little bit different than the normal 3D. If we look in the 3D panel, you'll see that there is the top skeleton, is what it's called. And in the properties panel, you're going to see an entirely new configuration versus what you've seen before with 3D. What you're seeing is a menu of different types of animation algorithms that you can, these are preset algorithms that you can apply to this model. So we can empty the search there. But if you click on this little gear menu right here at the top next to the search engine, you see these different categories of animations. Now, some of them are animations, some of them are just poses, still poses. But in the case of our guy here, we want to look for combat, which is the second one. So if I go ahead and load combat, not dance, but combat. Now, I'm viewing these as as thumbnails, and as you put your mouse, your cursor, my mouse.
You said mouse,
said
dude.
mouse.
That's
When you put your
that's
cursor-
another prize we're taking away from you.
Put your cursor over these little previews. It actually will show you really quick what that animation is. It's not this way by default, but if you click on this little pop-up menu up here, this is probably what you're seeing, or perhaps like a small list or something like that. I tend to prefer. Large thumbnail is a little too big because you're not seeing everything, so I'm gonna do small thumbnail. And unfortunately, you can't expand the window down, but you can expand it, this way, horizontally. So you can see more of them. So what I'm doing, I'm just gonna go ahead and hover over and see what kind of combat things. So this guy's it's just a kind of a ready fight stance and he's punching. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and apply that to my model. And you can see my guy immediately change his position. Now he's not in that standard standing way he was. And in order to see the animation, we need to open up the timeline. If you remember, we did the animations. This is where you can do the keyframe animation and stuff like that in here. But if I go in here and zoom in on the timeline, you can see this animation's roughly about 5 seconds. And if I grab the playhead and play through, you'll see the guy go through the motion. So whatever my character is, he'll just go through that motion, and that looks good. Now, once you have picked an animation and you like it, I'm not thrilled with that one. I'm actually going to find a different one. Let's. Some of these are just weird. Like, I'm not sure. This is like a little weird one. Okay, look. Oh, he's falling. There he goes. See, that's just funny. Watch. And down he goes.
Oh.
That's it. He's done. So the point being here, you can obviously run these as animations if you want and create a looping animation. But the idea here is to just kind of scroll through the animation and find a position that you like, that you want to use in your final image here. Now, I'm actually going to use a different animation because that one's just silly. So let's go and get maybe this one. All right, so there's a fighting stance. Now, I'm looking at him at this angle, and this is where the Photoshop 3D really comes into play. I'm going to grab the current view, and this will allow me, like any other 3D object, I can actually move around the subject. Now, you'll see his shadow still on the ground plane and everything like that, but I can actually change the angle I'm looking at the subject here. So, let's actually kind of put it like right there. But actually, now that I have him, that's actually the positioning looks pretty good. I think I'm going to go ahead and use that. But I'm going to go ahead and make a new document to build a new design in. So let's go ahead and let's go with a movie poster format size. Why not? Make the background black. I'm going to jump over here and go ahead and bring my guy into the scene here. And one thing I've noticed is that when you drag and drop 3D objects, be it fuse models or even just regular Photoshop 3D, when you drag and drop from another document, don't grab the image itself. You grab the layer and drag and drop it. I've noticed with 3D, it's just a lot easier to do it that way. So now in this one, I'm going to go in here. Now, in addition to being able to change the camera angle, the view of angle that you're looking at your subject, you can also change and add lighting. This infinite light is on by default, but if I move this around, notice how you can change the lighting right there on the subject. So you see where this is going? Eventually we're going to eliminate photography altogether.
Don't say those words. Do not say those words ever again.
Now, yeah, I mean, once the texturing and everything gets a little bit more refined, yeah, no, it's not going to replace photography. I'm only kidding. But the degree of control
I'll
you
go
have.
crawl in the corner in the fetal position if you say that again.
But the degree of control you have over creating an object, you know, like if you want a character and maybe it's an impossible position or an angle, you just don't have the resources to make that shot. This is certainly will be an alternative. And again, this program's not even it's been around for a while, but as far as an Adobe products, it's very, very rather new, so it's going to be evolving quite a bit. So now what I want to do is I'm going to actually put my guy in a more dramatic angle. Now, remember what I talked about earlier in the week about the camera settings. When I'm looking at the current view, you can go in here and adjust the millimeter lens you're looking at it at. So if you wanted to get a much wider angle, perhaps, like the default for whatever reason is 67.
All right, so Nikolai is tweeting or commenting. The image does seem a little dark. Maybe up the IBL intensity a bit.
I'm getting there. Just wait.
Well, Nikolai's our resident 3D,
Yeah, I know
3D
Nikolai.
expert.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So,
No, I know Nikolai. But yes, patience. Yes, I'm getting there. All right. Hold on. All right. I'm going to drop this to about 35 millimeter lens, and let's just bring him closer. Makes it a little bit more dramatic pose there. I'm going to rotate the camera. We're going for a really Hollywoodish type of.
Well, someone's asking, is it possible to green screen capture a pose, then import it in the Fuse and edit it in Photoshop? If you green screen captured a pose, it wouldn't be, you mean a pose like...
A pose? No.
Because I was thinking a model, it wouldn't be in 3D if you green screened it, but a pose, I don't think so. But Nikolai could answer that in the chat, I'm sure.
I'm sure he will. No, he can't. He's too busy worried about what I'm doing.
Ooh, burn,
Ooh.
cat sound.
I'm sorry. I love you, Nikolai. You know I do. So you'll notice I put him in a little bit more closer position, dramatic angle like that and everything. So now I'm going to get to the lighting. Okay? Nikolai, you paying attention? He started it. And now
Remind me never to comment on your screen.
And now
On your
I'm going to
screen.
rip on him for the rest of the day. No, I'm just kidding. So yes, lighting. I'm going to go in here. I don't use infinite. To be honest, and I will say this, infinite lights are my least favorite 3D lights. Yet they are the default. I get why they're the default. It does kind of a global lighting and it makes it easier. But I'm going to actually change this to a point light. Now, before I do that, before I create the lighting on the subject, I need to know what kind of background it's going to be and what kind of lighting scenario. So I'm actually going to use an image that I've used before. And let's go into my stock library here. I'm going to use this image right here. There it is. And it's just this kind of city drop background here. And it's got some cool lighting in there. So let's go and take that. Drag and drop that. And let's go ahead and scale that. And something like this. There we go. And I'll put that layer underneath that layer. There we go. And
Nikolai says infinite lights are easier to render, and IBL is a good default, very flexible.
yes. Which I am going to do an IBL in just a moment. So I put that image in the background, and now it gives me a better idea of what lighting I need to generate. So I've got blue light on this side and yellow light on the other side of the subject. So I'm going to change that infinite light to a point light. And then I'm going to click on the swatch here, and let's add that blue color, make it a little bit brighter. No, it's actually boost the intensity. There we go. But now I need to reposition the light itself. Now, this little icon right here, this little circle with the light bulb, that indicates where the light is out of view. It's right now, it's out of the bounds of the visible area, so that indicates where it is. But if you click this little move to view button, it'll actually bring it to the front. And there it is. It's just a little wireframe yellow ball, and it's just emitting that light in all directions. But I'm going to actually move this up and behind my subject. Nope. See the right tool here. There we go. And let's bring it forward a little bit. And when I do, you're going to see the light start to shine on them. Let's get that intensity up there. There we go. So that's now adding more realistic lighting. It looks like he's in the scene now. So I'm going to add a second light, a second point light. And this time we're going to make that the yellow color of the yellow lights in the background here. And let's push that one over here on the other side. And this is what's cool about this particular aspect of using a fused model, is that you're quite literally lighting the model while you're designing it.
Right. Someone's asking, okay, is it for film or video editing? It's not for editing, period, but it's for compositing in...
Like I said, you can apply the animations and actually export those as looping animations and such like that if you wanted to create like this little funny little animation stuff. The idea here is to generate a model and then put them in a position or in a composite and be able to light the subject in a very realistic way. So yes, it's not really necessarily for feature films. It's for designing and creating compositing.
Because it would be more challenging to make the subject move realistically in a video.
Yeah, I mean, these animations themselves are a little robotic in most
Right,
cases,
yeah.
you know. But the idea is for you to find a pose and then almost do, like Chantel, who works on this on Fuse, all it kind of counts as a freeze frame. You're looking for that one moment, you just stop it and then freeze frame that, and then change your camera angles and stuff like that. It's taken almost, it's like compositing to the next level. If you ever worked at a two-dimensional photograph and you wish the person's in a certain position, I wish I could just slightly alter that angle just a little bit, or even put realistic lighting on it. That's the idea here. The texturing is a little bit smooth. It looks like a gaming character or something like that, but that's something that's going to get, it's going to evolve. It's going to get more realistic. So, but it's showing.
Yeah, right now, I mean, they look good, but to me, they don't replace a photo of a person.
Absolutely not. No.
They are good, but
for doing really cool things like this, and again, you're in Photoshop. It's like I talk about with 3D. I'll take 3D to a certain point, and then I'll rasterize the 3D, and then it becomes a regular 2D image.
Right.
But the degree of control you have of regenerating that thing it's like in the old days, you'd find a stock image or something like that. It's like, this is the best angle I'm going to find of this or this car or this object or something like that. I got to live with that. Those days are starting to be only in the past. You know, now you're getting to the point where you can actually create and compose and design and light your subjects all during the design process, and that's really exciting. So.
And maybe you're designing a scene for the photo shoot or the movie.
That's exactly right.
And
you can actually
prototyping.
Conceptualize lighting scenarios, create a subject as a stand-in, put it in the scenario that you're wanting to do it, and you can actually work out lighting issues and such right here and there.
Right.
So yeah, for a front end conceptualizing, that certainly is a very
take a photo of the scene. Okay, now put your 3D characters in it and say, here's what I want it to look like at the end of the day.
Yep. So my character looks good. Now, one thing I want to show before I add some finishing effects here. How are we on time?
We are running low on time. We got 12 minutes.
Oh, 12 minutes. Good grief.
Wait, let's take a quick pause. I'm going to have Jason switch to me. We're going to show two missing in action Creativity 360 composites. One was an After Effects composite that took 3 to 4 hours. We definitely don't want to leave that one out. And the other one was another photo that was protected tweet. So even though we said Photoshop Mario ZDK went the extra route and created a composite, and I've not seen it. So here we go. Let's go full screen on it. I've like started it, but I didn't watch it. Corey, pay attention.
Oh,
All right.
I'm sorry.
This was inspired by you. Pay attention. Here we go.
My apologies. Okay.
Play. In a world.
Wow.
Wow. Oh,
The
I like the
movement.
little
Very,
tilt up. I
very
like
nice.
that. And you know what? I reward extra effort.
That was good.
You just want to create a file.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good stuff.
I hadn't watched it yet, so I wanted to see it, and that was awesome. All right, so that was one. Hang on, not that one. Oh no, did I close the other one? I closed the other one. Hold on. Let me go find it. I closed it by mistake.
No.
Here it is. I know, here it is. Probably have a little inception going on now. Oh, no, not all that. Hold up, let me find it first. That's it. Copy. There we go. Okay. And here's the missing picture from the protected tweet.
Oh yes.
So that was another cool entry. All right.
Very nice. Good
That one
lighting.
didn't win, but that was a cool entry. Good lighting, good effects.
No, you all did great jobs. Man.
Yeah,
Thank
great
you very
job.
much for
Nice
participating.
job.
Glad you guys chimed in there. It was awesome.
And let's give a little hype to the person who won that in the chat. Congrats at VPT, VPL. Great job. Extra credit. Yeah, you can take it, but put it back in front. Yeah, there you go.
All right, are we back on me?
Back on you.
All right. So just want to show you a couple more things, a little finishing things I want to do here. So when we were in Fuse earlier, we were creating the character and adjusting the facial features like that, and I'd certainly encourage you to go in there and just play around that, check out all the subtleties you can do. But once you're in Photoshop, you can actually do even more things to it. Like in the Properties panel, we've been doing the animation, and you'll notice these tabs up here, similar to the tabs like the Form and Cap tabs. But now you've got the body icon and you got a face icon here. So the body, of course, is all the animation features we talked about. But if you go to the face one, here you have a number of different types of expressions you can apply. So if I just kind of put this angry face on, and when you do that, you'll notice down here, you have a few extra features here, like the strength of the expression. You can dial the intensity. But you can also change the angle of the head. Right down here you see the head and you've got X, Y, and Z. If you use the scrubby sliders on these, you can actually turn your subject's head and have him look in certain directions. So
That's cool.
you're not stuck with his head in that locked position from the original model. You can go in here and if you want to have him down, maybe a little more concentrated, focused look on him. Maybe he's asleep. Something like that. Maybe not quite that much. Let's turn it back this way a little bit. There we go. So again, subtle, a few more controls you have once you're inside Photoshop that you didn't have control of when you were in Fuse, and being able to maneuver the face around. So don't feel like when you create an animation you're liking it, but his head is just stuck in that position. You can move the head around within this panel here. So at this point, I would probably go ahead and do a render of my subject, but for the sake of time, I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do is add some finishing effects on this. Like in this case, I'm actually going to add some fire. And this actually gives me a chance to show another cool, quick little extraction tip. When you're extracting fire in Photoshop, so like when I look for fire elements, I tend to look for them in a group like this, and you want them to be on a black background. But to extract it, all you got to do is go to the red channel of the image, and you'll see that's where all the detail of the fire is against the solid black background. Just command-click on that red channel, loads the bright areas, the luminance, as an active selection, which is just the fire. Reselect the RGB channel again and press Command-J. That extracts those fire elements to a new layer. However, you can see it did pick up some of the black background around the edges there, subtle edge noise that it got. You could live with that if you wanted to, but there's actually a feature in Photoshop designed to deal with that. Go under the Layer menu, go to Matting, and simply choose Remove Black Matte. Boom. Now that fire is completely, cleanly extracted, and you can go ahead and select individual fire elements here, and let's go ahead and drag it. And there's our guy. He's a man on fire. Now this is starting to look like a John Woo movie. I just need some doves now. Fly across the screen.
We can probably make that happen. Probably something already on Adobe stock.
Let's do that, and let's go ahead and add a little bit of a glow coming off the light here, so it's kind of in front of him.
What would Photoshop be without fire and explosions?
Exactly. And why not some sparks?
Can you put some lens flare on it?
I'm going to put lens flare.
All right, just checking.
It's a law now.
Got to put a drop shot on it too.
But I'm going to put some sparks in here. I just wanted to show this one. I have a couple of stock images of sparks, but this particular spark image here, got it from my dad. It's a funny story behind it. I'm looking through his digital camera, and he'd gone to Disney and shot the fireworks he showed me. He's like, oh, look at these cool pictures of the fireworks. And I'm like, well, what is this one? He's like, I don't know. I wasn't even looking through the lens. Just accidentally pushed the button and got that image. And he's like, he said, just throw it away. I'm like, no, send that to me. This has become a spark element I've used numerous times just because of the
There you
randomness
go.
of the sparks here.
Are you paying them royalties?
So goes to the point when you're looking through your camera or your phone, you see an image that you think is garbage, take a second look at it and think about it in a different way that you might be able to use it as an effect or something like that. And that's what happened with this one.
No, if I think it's garbage, it usually is.
Don't be too quick to get rid of it. Now, chances are a lot of
usually
them
is.
are crap.
Yeah, they are crap.
But there might be a little bit of a, even if it's a piece of the image, doesn't have to be the whole image, but a small piece of it, or a texture.
Now
or-
that could be
Yeah.
the case, yeah.
Yeah, it could
Some
be that
element
little
in the
element
photo
in there that you can
yeah,
just
you
pull
use
from
for
there
something
and you're
else.
good to go. Now, like the fire, I'm going to go ahead and extract this the same way. I'm going to do the red. But instead of copying to the new layer, I'm just going to fill it with white. And we'll bring that spark element over
All
here.
right, yeah, 4 minutes, Corey.
Okay. And like the fire the other day, I'm going to add the outer glow. Let's do the hot outer glow, and there's my sparks. Let's move that layer under this layer. There we go. Something like that. And gonna have to add that all too obligatory lens flare I affectionately call the JJ flare. And let's just on a new layer. I'm actually gonna put the layer flare right here on that little light there. Let's add a little bit of a glow to it. Something like that. There we go. And there we have our tactical guy. Then I would just need to do the render and add the text and do all that kind of cool stuff like that. So there you have. So that gives you kind of a overview, in a sense, of Fuse. Again, it's part of the Creative Cloud. Go and check it out. Try different types of modeling, and again, use it with Photoshop to create some really cool custom composites. So let's see, with any other questions out there. What happened to Terry? Did I scare him off? He went away. The JJ really knows how to lens flare or something like that. All right, so I'm about to pack it up and head out of here. Guys, thank you for joining me and Terry here on the Creativity 360. I've had a lot of fun. Be sure to check out, of course, you got Paul's coming up here. And Sophie here yet?
Yeah, she's good.
They're going to be up here in just a moment. Again, yesterday, if you remember, I said I was running a special on my site that you can get the compositing bundle for just $10 using the coupon code 360 special. That offer is still valid, so you can go to my site and check that out. You can go to my Facebook as well, and I've got information regarding that also. So be sure to check that out as well. One last thing, my book. Book is going to be out next month. Be sure to look for it. You can go to Amazon. Just look my name up. It's the How to Create Badass Effects in Photoshop. I'm super excited about it, and be on the lookout for it very, very soon. So, Terry, any final words?
Corey, it has been an amazing 3 days with you.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me. And thank you, Adobe, for having me over.
We're done with you. No, I'm just kidding.
And cut. We're out of here. All right.
No, dude.
Yeah.
I have learned so many little things,
Mm-hmm.
and just again another way of looking at
Yep.
Photoshop that was refreshing. That lots of things I either didn't know or forgot were there, and most of all, things I would have never thought to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I always get from you.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate it. No, I had a great time. Loved it. So, thank you guys for tuning in.
Yep.
And thanks everyone for participating in the compositing challenge along with me. And I had a lot of fun with that. And hope to do that again sometime. So,
You are amazing, man.
yeah, appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you very much. All right. We'll see
All
you
right.
guys next time.